It go like, hey, me for so fucking done with you, girl.
I don't know about you, but I thoroughly enjoyed seeing the grim faces on some of those other cable networks today after President Trump's meetings with his NATO counterparts in Brussels. Now, it was obvious that pundits and writers wrote their scripts long before Air Force One even touched down in Belgium. Of course, Trump was going to be an American wrecking ball, a bull in a china shop, further damaging the North Atlantic alliance that had helped keep the peace for 69 years, Putin's poodle, yada, yada, yada. And then the president spoke bluntly when he arrived, that's no surprise, and plainly about a bizarre dynamic whereby Germany, the richest country in NATO, is enriching Russia, the very country that the alliance wants protection from.
We're supposed to protect you against Russia, but they're paying billions of dollars to Russia, and I think that's very inappropriate. Germany is a captive of Russia because they supply. They got rid of their coal plants. They got rid of their nuclear. They're getting so much of the oil and gas from Russia. I think it's something that NATO has to look at.
Now, if you've listened to my radio show with any regularity over the past 6 years, which you should have, you would have heard me speak both of the Nord Stream 1 and the Nord Stream 2 energy pipeline projects, which are funded by Russian business interests and make Russia, and maybe even Putin himself, billions of dollars in energy profits. Now, presumably, that's enough money to mean that Germany can finally pay all the money into NATO dues that it actually owes.
I think that 2 world wars and the Cold War taught us that we are stronger together than apart.
But how can you be together when a country is getting its energy from the person you want protection against or from the group that you want protection?
Because we understand that when we stand together, also when dealing with Russia, we are stronger. I think what we have seen is that...
No, you're just making Russia richer.
Well, remember, both Russia makes a lot of money off of this, and German interests make a lot of money off these pipeline projects, too. And as you can see there, the NATO chief responded to Trump's very specific concerns with a flurry of generalities punctuated by banalities. It's not very convincing. Now, Trump is right. If another country, Russia, controls a big chunk of your energy supply, well, you're giving up a huge amount of your personal autonomy, while at the same time, you're giving Russia the rope to hang you with, or maybe the light switch to electrocute you with, to keep the right analogy going. As the Washington Post rightly noted today, Germany's energy relationship with Russia has long frustrated Washington and Eastern Europe, who fear that the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which will bypass the Baltic nations and Poland, could be used to cut them off from crucial energy supplies. Former German Chancellor Gerhard Schroeder is a top executive at the Russian government-controlled company that runs the pipeline. That's a cozy relationship. Now, wouldn't you like to see Schroeder's Swiss bank accounts? Wouldn't you just like to know how much he had to be paid to agree to that? Now, what's clear after today is that Donald Trump is not only not sucking up to Putin, he's trying to disrupt Germany's cozy relationship with Russia. He's doing what friends often do with friends who've gotten off track. He's having a frank and brutally honest conversation with them in hopes of righting their course and repairing the relationship. German Chancellor Angela Merkel reacted to Trump's suggestion that Germany is captive to Russia this way.
Dass ich erlebt habe auch selber, dass ein Teil Deutschlands von der Sowjetunion kontrolliert wurde. Und ich bin sehr froh, dass wir heute in Freiheit vereint sind als die Bundesrepublik Deutschland und dass wir deshalb auch sagen können, dass wir unsere eigenständige Politik machen können und eigenständige Entscheidungen fällen können.
Well, you're not going to be independent for long when Putin decides to shut down that gas line. Did you hear an answer to Trump's actual charges or questions? I didn't. As the American president, Donald Trump is over in Europe looking out for our interests and, of course, for the independence of our allies, which he thinks is really important, and rightly so. The free rider days have come to an end. Americans elected Trump in part because they wanted to make sure that the billions that we spend overseas are billions very well spent. What a novel concept. But you'd have thought that Trump had worn a Russian flag T-shirt to his NATO talks, given the hyperbole wafting from 30 Rock today.
Donald Trump is the most vivid manifestation of the least attractive characteristics in the national character. We haven't been captured by Donald Trump. We have had our worst instincts affirmed, exacerbated, and put in front of the world.
He could not be doing Putin's bidding more effectively if he were an active agent of Vladimir Putin and the KGB.
It's all coming to fruition, and there is a basic reason why Putin wants to do it. In President Donald Trump, he has an American president who goes at NATO hammer and tongs and in a sense does Putin's work for it.
What a ridiculous comment. Asking our allies to pay their fair share is going at NATO hammer and tong. He's actually trying to strengthen NATO by saying we've got to keep this alliance together by keeping our military expenditures what we pledged to do and keep those at a level that, you know, is fair for everyone, 2%. But I got to tell you, this was perhaps my favorite of all the criticisms of Trump's NATO meetings today.
What's the role of misogyny here? Does Merkel remind him of Hillary? Does that help explain the Theresa May issue? He does not have a particularly healthy relationship, it seems, with a lot of strong women.
Oh, my gosh. John Meacham is like, I really like John Meacham. He's a respected biographer, historian. But that was just stunning. Yeah, John, that's what it's all about. It's not an unseemly energy deal that imperils Eastern Europe or a country that's been undermining its future safety while asking us to pay for their protection. It's all about strong women. Oh, my God. Well, here's an observation from one. Mueller has come up empty in his quixotic quest to find Trump collusion with Russia. But perhaps he should turn his investigation to Germany, where politicians, current and former, are all too happy to sell out their own people for cheap Russian gas. Well, I won't hold my breath waiting for that probe to start. And in the meantime, I'm glad we have a president who is unafraid to upset the apple cart over in Europe and call out truly dangerous international collusion where it exists. And he's actually willing to do something about it. And that's the angle.